Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a brand new episode of The Clean Talk. 94% of travelers say that cleanliness is the single most important factor when booking a hotel. In fact, one negative hygiene review can outweigh 10 positive ones. Studies reveal that properties with negative hygiene reviews can see booking demands drop by 30 to 50%, and up to 90% of travelers will actively avoid a hotel labeled as a dirty one. In a nutshell, cleanliness isn't another backend task. It's reputational, it drives business, and today we are diving into a topic that every guest feels but very few talk about until something goes wrong. That is the invisible guest experience, how cleanliness shapes brand trust. This episode is brought to you by Diversey, a Solenis company. Joining me are two industry leaders, Mr. Bharat Bhaktani, Senior Manager Hospitality UAE and Healthcare GCC at Diversey, a Solenis company, and Mr. Varun Kalra, Cluster Executive Housekeeper at the First Group Hospitality. Let's get started. To begin with, guests may not notice when a room is spotless, but they definitely notice when it's not spotless. So from your perspectives, how quickly can cleanliness build or break trust in a brand? Bharat, could you take this question first?
Sure. I believe cleanliness builds or breaks trust almost instantly, within minutes, sometimes even within seconds. So because when a guest, for example, when a guest enters a room, they may not consciously audit it, but they would subconsciously scan everything, like the smell in the air, the cleanliness of the linen, cleanliness of the bathroom, clarity of the glasses and windows, and a quick random check of hard surfaces, if the gloss is good enough or not. So when everything feels clean, looks clean, they relax immediately, quietly, trust is formed. But the moment they spot a stain on the linen, or let's say a pungent or unpleasant smell in the air, or a hair, trust breaks down immediately, and once it breaks down, it gets very difficult for them to repair or recover. So what's also important to understand in hospitality is, cleanliness is not just judged based only in isolation. It is like a proxy. It has a cascading effect. The guest suddenly enters into an overthinking state, and they start to judge the entire operation. For example, they would be thinking, okay, the room is not clean. Would the kitchen be clean? Should I be eating here? Okay, the bathroom has mold issues. I doubt if the maintenance standards are up to the mark. And what else is being overlooked? So the irony is, cleanliness doesn't get much appraise when everything is right, but it definitely gets criticized or destroys the credibility when it's wrong, when things are not right. So trust is silent when everything is right, but it's pretty loud when things are not right. And in hospitality, trust is very fragile. So, and cleanliness is often the first and the foremost test that takes place.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
Even if I go to a hotel, the first thing I will notice in a room is how clean is it? The ambience, the cleanliness. That's what I will notice personally. Varun, what would you like to say about this?
I think I totally agree with Bharat. The trust can be built instantly, but it can break even faster. Guest, in my experience of last 16 years, guest enters the room and he will not look for inspection process. He will not look at the audit purpose. He will look at the bed presentation. He will look at this. He will have the smell concerns. So in that case, we follow our procedures. But as mentioned by Bharat, it can build instantly, but it can even break faster. So it is really important we actually follow the SOPs, the standard cleaning, which we always do, and using the right chemical at the right time. So these things are at the back end, but the guest will not notice. And trust, as it's mentioned, it's a fragile thing. It's on social medias nowadays, and all the companies look for social media reviews. Guests are booking hotels on day-to-day basis by looking at the social media scores. So that is really important to factor, actually. Yeah.
Totally. Now, housekeeping teams mostly work behind the scenes. Do you think the industry thanks them enough and recognizes them as brand ambassadors? And if not, what needs to change?
I think for the past couple of years, it has really improved. The recognition which used to be there earlier, it has moved forward. Now you can see a lot of competitions being happening, especially when we're talking about Dubai and the other countries as well. There's a lot of recognitions being happening to the housekeepers, but I think we need to have it more. So being a housekeeper for last almost 8 years and working with the housekeeping team for last almost 16 years, yeah, there's a lot of improvement, but a lot has to be done more. So when we talk about housekeeping, it's not about only a meeting, a monthly recognition which needs to happen. It can happen every day. A thank you in the group messages, everything matters. And housekeeping ambassador are very important because they play a very important role. We are the guardians of guest experience. So when a guest, and we sell rooms, the majority of revenue of the hotel comes from the room revenue.
Of course.
So this is very important, and this is what is happening. So you will see a lot of changes happening to the housekeepers, and things are going good. And I think in the coming years it will be better.
Great, thank you. Bharat, my next question would be for you. Housekeeping departments are often incredibly diverse. There are people from different countries in the housekeeping department. How does having a culturally diverse team influence service style, team dynamics, and ultimately the guest experience?
I would say diversity feels like a new normal because of this part of this world, isn't it? I mean, it's so prevalent here that sometimes we even forget how incredibly diverse it actually is. So yes, to answer your question, culturally diverse housekeeping teams, they bring forward or introduce mainly two things, or both the things, let's say, which is complexity as well as opportunity. So yes, different cultural backgrounds, they influence communication styles, perception to urgencies, and even your interpretation of hygiene standards. So as a hygiene partner, this means that training cannot be generic. There has to be a lot of visual instructions, multilingual wherever possible, and process driven. That's where color coding microfiber systems, control dosing equipments, and I would say a very crisp list of products, a simplified list of products becomes very important, so that there's less reliance on virtual instructions. Let's be honest here. Diversity does not impact guest satisfaction negatively. It's the inconsistency in the system that does.
Yeah.
So that's why systems matter. Clear checklist, visual guides, proper tools in place. They create a common language for these diverse teams. And when these diverse teams are operating under the right leadership, let's say, under the right, housekeeping lead or F&B lead, they actually thrive. It enhances their adaptability and their team morale, which eventually, results in the guest satisfaction scores.
Wonderful. Now there is looking clean, and then there is being hygienically safe and clean. How do you balance visible reassurance for guests with the science and standards happening behind the scenes?
I think it is very important, and this case, what happens when a housekeeping is cleaning a room, there's a SOP, there is chemicals which we use from brands like Diversey, and the amount of chemical has been used. Guests may not notice all this. So it's all about the backend and the thing which we do on day-to-day basis. So the SOPs are in place, and the dilution levels are in place. The procedure, how to clean a WC. It's not only to clean a WC. There is a procedure to clean a WC. So guests may notice that, but there is a bigger impact. So when we do checks with companies like Diversey, there is a proper checklist, and within the housekeeping team, there is an inspection procedure being followed. So guests may not follow everything, but they will only follow, and they will only see if there is a stain on the bed sheet. If they go to a room and they find the bathroom is having a mold smell. So backend, there's a lot of procedures being followed. But yeah, that is how when the housekeepers take in charge and they maintain the standards under the guidelines of the buy tourism and under the brand standard of their company chain, and plus whatever we have trainings with chemical companies like Diversey. So this is very important at the back end. But yeah, guests do not follow that at all times. Yeah.
Thank you, Varun. Bharat, what would you like to say about this from a supplier's perspective?
So I believe there's a clear distinction between cleanliness as perception and hygiene as protection. Like as you said, looking clean, it reassures the eye, but feeling hygienically safe, that actually protects health. So the balance is very simple. Execute the science properly and communicate it subtly, as Varun mentioned. Guests don't see everything, so you have to make it presentable as well. But you have to, in the background, you have to execute the science also, effectively. So as a hygiene partner, we ensure certain things are in place. Let's say the products are globally approved, evidence-based, and in compliance with global standards. Dilution systems are in place to ensure there is complete elimination of human error. And then also training. Training is very important for the staff to make sure that they are well trained and both visually as well as practically. And then there is something that we very actively do with our key partners, which is high touch points testing. We do this with verification tools to ensure that there is efficacy, not just assumptions happening. And last but not the least, there is also preventive maintenance tests, checks that we do with through our technical teams and regular audits to ensure everything is in place. So these are the key areas that we very actively focus on when we partner. And also, so when these processes are in place, your presentation, when coupled with these validation processes, it makes sure that your cleanliness is moving from just cosmetic to actually credible.
Yeah.
And in hospitality industry, credibility is what that builds brand trust and sustains it at the end of the day. Yeah.
Thank you, Bharat. Now, my final question. When you walk into a hotel as a guest yourself, Varun, maybe you can take this. What is the first thing that silently tells you, I can trust this place?
A very important one and a very nice one, As a hotelier, it starts from the main porch, with the uniforms from the valet drivers to the bellmen. And as soon as you enter a hotel lobby, what kind of fragrance they are using, how the marble is shining. So a lot of appearance and a lot of things which I really look into it is the appearance and the ambience of the hotel. When it comes to a room, I think I would agree, like most of the times it is 99% of the guests, they look at the bed presentations. So if your bed is neatly done and it's crisp, it gives you assurance that your room is clean. As we talk about, this is all what we think as in housekeeping. As a leader, when I enter hotels, this is what is being monitored.
Perfect. Thank you, both of you, for joining us on this episode of The Clean Talk. It was a pleasure to have you both. With that, we will wrap up this episode of The Clean Talk. If you like this episode, don't forget to press the like button and share. Thank you.